There's a place at the far south of the world where the wind carries history. A country of vast landscapes, vibrant culture, and a unique identity. Welcome to Chile. Between the ocean and the mountains, modern cities full of movement rise. Skyscrapers, busy avenues, and vibrant neighborhoods reveal a country that is growing rapidly. Here, urban life pulses with energy while natural landscapes remain ever present on the horizon. Every day, thousands of people walk through these streets, following their own paths. In the urban heart of Chile, movement never stops. Busy cafes, local markets, public transportation, and workers coming and going create a dynamic that defines the rhythm of the city. It is in this setting that everyday life unfolds, revealing the vibrant energy of a country that continues to transform. Rivers descend from the mountains and cross Chilean cities like natural veins to the land. Water connects landscapes, histories, and communities. Even surrounded by concrete and skyscrapers, these currents remind us that the presence of nature never completely disappears. But leaving the city behind reveals a completely different Chile. Crystal clear lakes appear between massive mountains, creating landscapes that seem almost unreal. Silence dominates the scenery, and the rhythm of nature replaces the rhythm of the cities. Deep valleys and winding rivers reveal the powerful geography of this country. A territory shaped by volcanoes, glaciers, and natural forces that have been at work for millions of years. Every bend of the river and every mountain tells part of the geological story that formed Chile. The Andes Mountains dominate the Chilean horizon like a massive natural wall, stretching for thousands of kilometers across the continent. These mountains have shaped not only the landscape, but also the history and culture of the region. Among snow-covered peaks, deep valleys, and ancient glaciers, the feeling is of standing before one of the most impressive natural forces on the planet. Here, the scale of nature is difficult to understand until it is seen with your own eyes. During the winter, these mountains transform completely. Silence dominates the landscape, and only the wind moves across the frozen slopes. It is a scene that reveals the most extreme, and at the same time the most beautiful side of Chilean nature. Beams of light slowly illuminate the valleys and mountains, revealing textures, shadows, and shapes hidden within the terrain. It is a silent and powerful spectacle, as if nature itself were revealing its greatness in slow motion. Clouds slowly drift between the mountain peaks like a moving white ocean. As they travel through the valleys, they reveal and conceal parts of the landscape, creating a constant natural spectacle. This interaction between mountains, wind, and clouds turns the Andes into a landscape that always feels alive. Amid mountains and forests, water finds its path, descending with impressive force. Great waterfalls carve through the landscape, forming rivers that feed valleys and lakes across the country. The sound of the water echoes along the slopes, creating a natural spectacle that reveals the raw energy of Chilean nature. Here, nature reveals its full scale and power. Water plunges from impressive heights with a constant force that echoes throughout the valley. Mist slowly rises and surrounds the rocks, creating an almost surreal atmosphere. Standing before a scene like this, it is impossible not to feel the vastness and power of the planet. In Chile, nature is not just a backdrop, it is the main character of every landscape. Hidden among massive mountains lie deep and silent lakes. Places like this remind us that Chile is a country where nature still dominates vast territories. Here, silence becomes part of the experience, and every landscape conveys a sense of isolation and tranquility that is hard to find in the modern world. In the fertile valleys of Chile, the landscape changes completely. Vineyards, farmlands, and small communities reveal another side of the country, a productive Chile, where work in the land has supported cities and cultures for generations. These valleys are known worldwide for producing wines and foods that carry the unique flavor of this land. As we move across Chilean territory, the landscapes continue to change. Open plains and distant mountains reveal the geographic diversity of a country that stretches for thousands of kilometers. Each region has its own climate, vegetation, and completely different scenery. In northern Chile lies one of the most extreme places on the planet, the Atacama Desert. Considered the driest desert on Earth, this territory seems to belong to another world. Wind-carved rocks, arid valleys, and intense colors create landscapes that resemble the surface of Mars. Rock formations carved by time create landscapes that seem to belong to another planet. Over millions of years, wind, sun, and erosion have shaped these mountains and valleys into unique forms. The result is an almost surreal landscape, where every hill and rock looks like a giant natural sculpture scattered across the Chilean desert. Long roads cut across the Chilean desert for miles and miles with almost no sign of civilization. Driving through these landscapes creates a unique feeling of freedom and isolation. The horizon seems endless, and the road becomes a constant invitation to keep exploring. In the Atacama Desert, mountains and valleys take on intense colors that change throughout the day. Shades of red, orange, brown, and gold appear depending on the position of the sun. It is a landscape that constantly transforms, turning the desert into a living natural painting. Traveling through northern Chile means crossing some of the most vast and silent landscapes on the planet. In many stretches, it feels as if there is nothing but sky, land, and asphalt. This sense of isolation turns a journey into something almost meditative, where every kilometer reveals the immense scale of Chile's territory. Even in extreme environments like this, nature continues to reveal its own kind of beauty. Arid mountains, exposed rocks, and dry terrain create dramatic landscapes shaped by time. Each rock formation tells an ancient geological story, reminding us that these landscapes were slowly carved over millions of years. From the top of these mountains, Chile's territory seems to stretch endlessly in every direction. Deep valleys, distant mountain ranges, and hidden lakes create a sequence of breathtaking natural landscapes. It is from these viewpoints that we truly understand the scale of the country and the diversity of scenery that Chile holds. Low clouds begin to drift slowly over the mountains, wrapping around the peaks and completely transforming the landscape. As they move through the valleys, they reveal and conceal parts of the terrain in a constant natural spectacle. This movement creates an almost mystical atmosphere, where mountains seem to appear and disappear within the clouds. Faced with landscapes like these, it is impossible not to feel a desire to keep exploring. Chile is a country that seems made for travelers, adventurers, and anyone seeking to discover unique places. Every mountain, every road, and every horizon hides new stories waiting to be found. Long curves reveal new landscapes with every kilometer traveled. Small towns appear between valleys and hills, showing that even in remote regions, life continues to thrive. Traveling along these routes is an experience that blends adventure, contemplation, and the constant feeling of discovering something new around every turn. As the road continues to climb to the mountains, the landscape turns into a sequence of winding curves and natural viewpoints. From each higher point, a new perspective of the surrounding scenery appears. Dense forests cover the slopes, while small rivers quietly descend through the valleys. Traveling along these mountain routes reveals a Chile that is less urban and far more wild, where nature still dominates most of the territory. In some regions of Chile, the roads seem to disappear into deep and ancient forests. Tall trees form natural corridors through which the road quietly continues. Sunlight passes through the treetops, creating shifting patterns of light and shadow that follow the entire journey. In landscapes like these, time seems to slow down and the experience of traveling becomes far more contemplative. Between the mountains, areas of dense forest and calm rivers appear, reflecting the sky and the surrounding trees. These natural environments host a rich diversity of life and create landscapes of great tranquility. Water flows slowly between the rocks while vegetation covers the banks, forming a scene of perfect balance between land, water, and forest. In some places in Chile, nature presents itself in complete silence. Calm lakes reflect mountains, clouds, and trees, creating landscapes of perfect harmony. The wind gently moves the surface of the water, while the scenery remains almost still. Moments like these show that traveling can also be an experience of pause and contemplation. At the end of this journey, one thing becomes clear. Chile is a country where nature defines the rhythm of the landscape, from extreme deserts to snow-covered mountains, passing through deep forests and silent lakes. Every region reveals a completely different scenery. Traveling through Chile is not just about visiting places. It is about crossing territories that reveal the true scale and diversity of the planet. In Chile's mountainous regions, the landscape constantly changes as the altitude rises. Green hills stretch toward the horizon, while narrow roads wind through the slopes. From above, it becomes clear how geography shapes every detail of the territory. These mountains are not just scenery. They define the rhythm of life and travel in this part of the country. During certain times of the year, Chilean forests reveal an impressive palette of colors. Shades of green, yellow, and red appear among the trees, creating almost cinematic landscapes. Walking through these areas feels like crossing a living environment, where each season completely transforms the scenery. It is yet another reminder of the natural diversity that Chile holds within its territory. Even among the mountains, entire cities develop by adapting to the terrain. Houses, streets, and neighborhoods appear between hills, creating an interesting contrast between nature and urbanization. Chile is a country where geography directly influences how cities grow and organize themselves. In Chile's major cities, the rhythm changes completely. Wide avenues cut through busy neighborhoods while cars, buses, and people follow their daily routines. The constant movement reveals a modern country that continues to grow and transform. Among the modern buildings and busy streets of Chilean cities, historic structures appear carrying centuries of history. Old churches, imposing cathedrals, and colonial buildings preserve an important part of the country's cultural identity. Walking through these places feels like traveling through time, where past and present exist side by side in the cities of Chile. Some Chilean cities reveal an architecture that strongly blends European influences with local characteristics. Organized streets, wide plazas, and historic buildings create an elegant urban environment full of personality. Walking through these cities, it becomes clear how different cultures help shape the country's visual identity over the centuries. The rhythm of Chilean cities becomes clear in the busy avenues and intersections filled with cars and people. The constant flow of vehicles shows how these urban centers have become important hubs of commerce, work, and culture. Even amid the intense movement, each neighborhood maintains its own identity and way of life. But not everything in Chilean cities happens at a fast pace. Between busy avenues and commercial centers, residential neighborhoods appear where life follows a calmer rhythm. Small streets, modest buildings, and green areas create quieter spaces within the urban landscape. These neighborhoods reveal a different side of Chilean cities, where everyday life blends with local architecture and the surrounding natural scenery. As we approach the Chilean coastline, the landscape changes once again. The Pacific Ocean appears on the horizon with its vast blue expanse, beginning to dominate the entire scene. The wind carries the salty scent of the ocean, reinforcing the feeling of standing before nature that remains as wild as it has always been. Here, every wave seems to remind us that the ocean is one of the oldest and most powerful forces on the planet. As the sun begins to disappear over the horizon, the scene takes on a new atmosphere. Golden light spreads across the ocean, transforming the entire landscape. The waves reflect shades of orange and gold while the sky slowly changes color. In moments like these, the journey gains a different meaning, reminding us that exploring new places is also about knowing when to pause and simply observe. At the end of this journey, it becomes clear that Chile is a country of remarkable contrasts. From snow-covered mountains to extreme deserts, from deep forests to vibrant cities. Every region reveals a completely different landscape, and when the ocean appears on the horizon, it seems to connect all these places. Traveling through Chile is not just about discovering new destinations. It's about experiencing a land where nature remains the true protagonist. See you at the next destination.